Congratulations. We have made it through almost. We have made it through another year post-COVID. Hey guys, I'm back on camera in the same outfit that I had on in my last video because efficiency. Like I already said, I'm on my consistency game for sure. Like, no more games. I put together this list of things, y'all, because there's so many videos that come around this time of year about things that people do and don't want to do in the new year. And nothing that I'm about to say is like, oh my God, like, you know, mind blowing. But I mean, it could be to some people, I don't know. But I just wanted to share kind of, you know, a really well-grounded perspective. Stuff that's not just surface level, but stuff that hopefully like really lands and like helps somebody think about like, hey, this is something that's holding me back going into the new year. A lot of you guys know, but like I walk with a lot of people.
And I have a degree in psychology, and so I really enjoy helping people in this way, especially in ministry. And just as someone who's been through a lot and has seen a lot of things, seen a lot of different kinds of people.
So yeah, let's get to it. But first, you need to subscribe. The first thing that people are gonna say that they're leaving in 2023, but probably won't, they might, but a lot of people won't, is probably the biggest thing and the worst. Toxic relationships. Now, I know everybody knows what the word toxic means, and you know, like in this context as well, but a lot of people, a lot of us, I'll say, I'll even include myself, a lot of times don't even realize what is toxic, like in our context or in our lives. Like, you know, like, is something toxic that we're doing or that we're putting up with, or is it not? A lot of people don't really have that awareness. I would say if you can identify anything that is hurting you, you gotta really do some soul searching, you guys, and think about the relationships that you have, because a lot of people still don't realize just how much things take out of you and how much bad relationships can drain you. And that's not to like put a label on anyone's relationships, but the truth is, in my opinion, you know, we all know that there are things that should be tolerable in a relationship. Goodness, am I gonna get my words together? There are things that should be tolerable and things that aren't, and a lot of people are normalizing things in this culture, in our culture today, that shouldn't be normalized, y'all, if we just keeping it real. Then they'll wonder why, like, you know, they have like this dark cloud hanging over them in terms of like they have a hard time having stable moods or fighting depression, which obviously I know can be due to a lot of things, but this is one of them. And a lot of it just has to do with the energy and the actions that you're surrounding yourself with. I know it's easier said than done. I know it's not a simple thing, but it is a worth it thing. One of my favorite sayings is that the easiest thing oftentimes isn't the best thing. And a lot of times the hardest thing is the best thing for you. So you guys, if you're really trying to, you know, like get your mind right and take care of yourself, not just on a surface level, not just, you know, on the outside, but if you're really trying to take care of yourself, you're gonna have to let go of toxic relationships, y'all. We gotta get that one out the way. If you don't, bro or sis, them toxic or unequally yoked relationships, y'all, it's gonna continue to hold you back, bro or sis. Here's a tip. The one I already said is let them go, but also I like sharing practical things. You know, I feel like hopefully I can add something of value to people who watch me. And so one thing that I find like that often works is that you can, of course, seek therapy, or you can just replace that time that you would spend in your relationship with other things. Replace those thoughts with other things. You know, affirmations are obviously really popular, but there's so many things that you can do to fill up the mental space to kind of help yourself move along and to help yourself not be idle, especially if, you know, you're talking about like deep kind of bonds that you are forcing yourself to try to break here. Yeah, sometimes you have to do things to keep the ball moving and keep yourself up and going, you know. So seek therapy, one, and two, replace that time that you would have been spending with your significant other on toxic stuff, replace that with something positive. Number two that I have for y'all, and of course I'm looking down because if you're a subscriber of mine, a watcher, you already know I got my handy dandy notebook. Number two that I have is I feel like it's gonna mess a lot of y'all up. It is the abuse and overuse of social media. Y'all know I understand. I am a product of the same culture, the same generation, but I gotta keep it real for my internet brothers and sisters. I feel like we just continue to ignore and normalize this, but using social media to the extent that a lot of us do, and for example, like what that looks like if you're unsure about what exactly I'm referring to, but like normalizing things like waking up and the first thing you do is scroll on social media for an hour or longer for some people, or every minute you get, when you're sitting down you have to be on your phone, or when you're in a room full of people you can't have actual social interaction, whether that's because you don't have the capacity for it, you've learned to just always resort to your phone, or you actually struggle to have human interaction now because we're so used to being on the phone. I feel like it's so normalized now to honestly be on our phones way more than we should, and way more than what's healthy and what anyone else in any other generation, in generations past have done. Y'all, using social media to the extent that a lot of people in this generation does or do, using social media to that extent is a huge confidence killer. It's a productivity killer. It's a mental health killer. Like, the list unfortunately goes on. And I'm not a social media hater. I have social media accounts that are like active per se, but I don't have any social media apps on my phone, and I've been like off social media, meaning I haven't been using them for months now. Stay tuned, guys. I actually have a video coming out very soon. I think it's going to be my next one, just about how all the ways getting off social media actually changed my life, because it did. But truly, guys, in a lot of ways, like, research has already shown and will continue to show, because again, like, the way that we consume social media almost makes us a guinea pig, because no one else in history has done this before and at such young ages. But the way that we consume social media, I fear, is doing us more harm than good. And I've already named ways that does that. You guys already know it's like we see things on social media, we compare ourselves, we see the standard. That's not really how things should be looked up to in real life, but a lot of people use social media as a standard. They use it to put false expectations on themselves, or they use it to just take in too much information from all these different sources, and we don't really know what's true and what's not. The list goes on. And then there's the obvious, that's like we spend more time on social media than doing things that we actually want and need to do. So all that stuff that you've been saying, I wish I had time to do this, I wish I had time to do that, you're spending all that time that you could be doing, like chasing your goals and dreams, and working on yourself. You're wasting it all on TikTok and Instagram. That probably sounds a little harsh. I don't want to come off harsh, but also like, I just feel like, that's a lot of truth there. There's definitely grace. And so like in that video, I'm going to share just like, what it took for me, and like, the struggle that it was, because I understand, I really do. But it's just so worth it. Like, I'm very passionate about that, because I just know how worth it is to just try your hardest to at least like limit yourself, even if you don't do cold turkey, just like cutting off yourself from all and any social media apps. It's worth it, y'all, to dedicate some time this year in 2024 to doing more productive, more positive and healthy things with your time that you're spending on social media. More on that to come. One tip for now, that is a place to start, is that some people may already know, but if you have an iPhone, y'all, it's very cool. I didn't realize this until, a certain point. You can actually set limits for yourself in your settings on certain apps. And when you're on that app for however long that you set it to, you'll get like a notification, and it'll actually like cover up your screen and say like, hey, screen time limit is up, or something like that. Now, if you know, you can snooze it. There is a snooze button there. Like when that notification pops up and says, hey, it's time to get off Instagram, you could press the snooze button. And I've been there before. Maybe I shouldn't have even told y'all that. But y'all, stick to it as best as you can. That can help you just have like the pause that it takes sometimes to be like, hey, I need to get off my timeline, like, and do X, Y, and Z, Moving on. The third thing that I'm talking about, I feel like somebody gonna say I'm a hypocrite. I'm always thinking about like what people's response is gonna be to what I'm talking about. The next thing that I'm gonna talk about, y'all, is something that we all struggle with. I am not holier than thou, but it is indeed something that a lot of us gonna continue to say we're not gonna do, but are gonna do in 2024. And that is use extremely bad financial habits. Y'all, I know, I hate it. Like, what's a budget? I don't even like that word, but like, we the new adults, like, we gotta get it together. Like, we got goals out here that we trying to reach. We're trying to get somewhere in life, and the reality is most of us not gonna be richity rich. And so we have to be smart with our money for the most part. Again, I'm no perfect saver or anything, y'all, but I will say that I've gotten a lot better, and that there's levels to this. So some of y'all Some of y'all are out here spending X amount of money on food, X amount of money on technology, iPhone, the newest iPhones and clothes and shoes, and are struggling to pay your bills, like legitimately. I know how it feels to, you know, be struggling and be in survival mode. I really do. Actually, if you haven't watched it, you should go watch my last videos where I talk about a lot of my struggles kind of after college and figuring out how to provide for myself. However, though, I wanted to mention that in light of, like, you know, when you're genuinely struggling, that's one thing financially. However, we have to keep it real with ourselves, y'all. Let's keep it real with ourselves in 2024. A lot of us make so many purchases that cut into the things that we actually want and need, to again, like extreme amount, to an amount that is like keeping us where we are financially, keeping us at a financial low point, and from actually like climbing up to a point where we're financially stable, like most of us say that we want to be, but we just don't hold ourselves accountable to actually like not always buying into the first thing that we want and see, or the first thing that we see on social media. You know, the next thing that I have written down is similar to number one, but this one, instead of toxic relationships, is toxic friends. It's another one that's gonna get a lot of y'all. And by that, I just mean it's something that I feel like is kind of underrated in the culture today, at least in regards to having like healthy voices talking about this. Friendships are something that are like genuinely tricky. I feel like, you know, no matter who you are, some people get blessed in that area, some of us don't. I've had experience with like, I feel like having like really good friends and like having friends that are just like, these people do not care about me like they say they do, you know? But also, either way it goes, like we have to constantly be deciphering, like, and constantly, I feel like, be discerning, you know, at least with like people who we're building a relationship with. Of course, not with people who you like trust and have been with for a long time, but like in terms of like making friends, you guys, and like, I mean, even just like having, your current friendships, you should be aware of the ways that they love you and love on you and respect you and the way that they treat you. A lot of times this can look like sneak dissing. I feel like I've seen this talked about on social media in recent like years or months, but a lot of people have those kind of friends that'll like crack jokes at you, or say stuff again like sneak diss, or will be like on the low disrespectful, but then make it seem like you're overreacting. They'll gaslight you, like they were just joking when you call it out, or they'll kind of just subtly disrespect you. You know, there's all different types of stuff that goes on. There's jealousy in friendships, or people kind of like not having your best interest at heart, like kind of, you know, leading you down a bad path. As mama always said, misery loves company, and that's something that, you know, that reigns true throughout the generations, honestly. Like, if you've grown enough to have lived through, you know, a couple of friendships and stuff like that, you know that that's true. Because it don't matter who it is, even if they care for you, or even if they say that they care for you, that doesn't mean that everyone is good for you. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all might want to rewind that part back. But you got to actually surround yourself with the type of people who you see yourself being. And that's not to say you just cut people off, right? Once you decide, oh, okay, well, they're not doing the same thing that I'm doing. They're not on the same path that I'm on, so I'm not speaking to you anymore after today. But that just means to be discerning of, you know, what the people around you are doing and how that could be influencing you. Because quiet is kept, honestly, no matter what we do, no matter how much we feel like we're not influenceable, we're all influenceable. And that's why those sayings ring true, that, you know, you should surround yourself with people who you want to be. The reason why is because we are all impressionable to a certain level. We all kind of in some ways reflect what we see, and even if we don't, we're bound to possibly get caught up in things that we normally wouldn't if we weren't hanging around the people that we were. Hopefully that makes sense. Next, the fifth thing that I feel like is huge, that again is kind of normalized and that people are gonna say they're not gonna do in 2024, but are still gonna do, is have the capacity for drama and reckless behavior, aka be messy. Y'all, again, this is one of those that's kind of self-explanatory, but to summarize, it don't matter, like, you know, who we surround ourselves with sometimes. It doesn't matter, you know, what we're taking in on social media. A lot of people kind of just gravitate towards drama. And that can look like different things, right? There's obviously levels or a spectrum to everything. Like, that's not to say that some people are just inherently bad, but some of us, y'all, we really do like seeing like kind of messy stuff. We like the reality TV type vibes in our lives. Like, that's how I like to refer to it, because a lot of people like you know, that's something that they can see outside of themselves and say, oh, that's super messy, I would never get caught up in that, you know. But a lot of us live like that, like we're on reality TV, like, you know, constantly fighting with people or constantly kind of enjoying having like arguments and tension in our lives, or constantly enjoying kind of just like having ups and downs and gossiping, like talking about people. You know, there's so many things that can lead to drama. Gossiping is a big one. Comparing yourself to others is a big one. Not being content or secure in your own life is a big one. Again, these are things that it's definitely, you know, not that easy. It takes self-reflection to realize, hey, and there's no shame in that either, y'all. Like, we are all growing. We're all on this journey of figuring out how to be better adults. Or for you guys on the younger half of Gen Z and whatever comes after that, for you guys learning how to be teenagers to just grow up and older, it's for everybody. We're all learning how to be better people. And with that being said, it takes some self-reflection to be able to say, I'm realizing that I'm comparing myself to my friends in my head, and that's leading me to say things that I don't always mean, or that's leading me to have thoughts or negative feeling towards them and possibly start up situations that wouldn't be there if I would kind of just do the work to become content with myself, or content with the things that I have. Sometimes it's also not a contentment issue. Sometimes it just genuinely is a maturity issue. I can say I remember like being a teenager and like getting a kick out of like seeing fights happen and like kind of enjoying, you know, like the hoopla, the rah-rah of it all. But y'all, there definitely comes a point where you realize, like, even if like right now I could probably just keeping it 100% honest, because like I like to say on my channel, we keep it transparent over here. There's no use in, you know, putting on a fake face or whatever. But I can honestly say sometimes I still get like excited when I see like stuff going on, drama, you know, happening, like, ooh, what's going on over there? Like, sometimes I like being nosy. But as far as like my proximity to those things, and as far as like how much I get involved and surround myself with those things, it's very little or little to none, to the best as I, you know, that I can, right? And a lot of that has to do with, again, like what I feed myself on social media, what I feed myself on any kind of media, like TV and movies, and definitely the people who I surround myself with. Like, I mean, y'all know it's no secret, for one, that I'm Christian, and so like a lot of my community, they are actively seeking to be discerning and trying to have lovable hearts and be patient and kind and all of these things. And so that in itself breeds a air, I feel like, in a lot of my friend groups, that is level-headed, that is aiming to be mature, that is aiming to be content with themselves and God, and therefore has the capacity to love on others, and to not look at others a certain type of way, all of these different kinds of things, right? So yeah, y'all, we got to do the work. You got to look at yourself and say, hey, maybe it's not everybody around me, maybe it's me, you know? Just saying. And there's no shame. We gotta grow from it, y'all. We gotta grow. And that is, all of this is if you want to level up in 2024, like seriously level up. Not saying if you don't follow this, then you won't, but keeping it real, y'all already know. I mean, if you keep the same toxic friends, toxic relationships, bad spending habits, are we really gonna say, you know, that next year is our year? It's probably gonna be the same as this year if we don't, you know, take actual like steps, not just say it, but like take actual steps to make sure that we're like growing physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all of that. So, all right, y'all, I could talk y'all head off. But again, y'all know, I mean, this is my thing. Like I said, I got my degree in this. So start a conversation down in the comments. I love to talk about your goals for 2024, or talk about something that, if you're really trying to get you know, I'm here for it. Talk about something that you want to leave in 2023 that you're actually gonna like try to work on. That would be dope. I love that I am creating a space here on my YouTube for that, a safe space for us, you know, young adults, older adults, younger adults, whatever, to have community and figure out this life thing together. With that being said, you better subscribe, and I will see y'all in my next video coming real soon. Bye, guys.